This recorded webinar will introduce you to the Concordia Behavioral Health Provider Portal. My name is Victor Valdez and I'll be your presenter today. We'll be starting off here from the login page. Here you would just enter your username and password. If you do not have one yet, all you would have to do is go to the website. Here's the address for the login, and you can click here to set up an account. In the future, if you ever need to reset a password or change a password, you have these options here. So let's go ahead and log in. Okay, the website will always start you off in the check eligibility area. Here you can enter a member's last name, first name, and date of birth, or member ID, and it will verify their information here. The other options you have on this portal are to view authorizations, view the process claims, do a claims data entry or inquiry. You can create EOB PDFs. You can view your provider profile. These last two here you could use to send feedback and any questions you may have, or you can send an email to us directly. And also here you'll see the provider portals, the claims address and our contact number. Going back to check eligibility, to submit a claim, the easiest way would be to start through here. Enter a member specifically created for this purpose. As you can see here, member information is given off, such as the member number, date of birth, and if we wanted to verify eligibility, we can simply click right here and we get an effective date, termination date if there is one, and basically notification if the member is currently active or not. We're going back one page though to submit the claim. Submit the claim, all we do is create CMS 1500 or create UB04 depending on the type of claim form you need. Today we're going to be working with the CMS 1500. Now the claim form comes up as a pop-up. If you have any sort of pop-up blockers on your screen, it'll ask you if you want to allow this page. And you could also set up your computer to always allow the pop-ups. If there's any changes to the provider portal that we'd like to inform you of, you'll see a pop-up again, such as this one here. And you can, after reading it, you can just press continue to close the box, or you could also click here and it'll give you the option so that notification does not come up again. Now here you have the actual claim form. Anyone familiar with the CMS 1500 form would have a good idea on how to navigate this screen. Now if, as we did, you look up the member before starting the claim, you'll see that the member information will already be entered here. As we're using a test member, you'll see a lot of this information is not here, but for any real member, this information will be populated. You would not have to enter anything in this top area above physician or supplier information. Now below this area, as far as boxes 14 through 23, everything, if you have the information requested, you can go ahead and enter it, but most of these boxes are not required. As you may know, if you work with the CMS 1500, box 21 is definitely a required area. Let's go ahead and enter a couple of diagnoses there. And box 23, if you have an authorization, is required. So let's go ahead and create one. Starting at box 24, you would enter the actual service information. From date and to date, You notice that the way the portal works is if you hold the cursor over any field, it'll give you some information as to what goes there. Now, if the from and to date is exactly the same, you would not be required to enter the to date. So in this case, we could leave this blank. Place of service goes here. The place of service code. Here, this box would be to mark if emergency or not. As you can see, you'd have to enter a Y or an N. And here's the CPT code that we're billing for. If there were any modifiers, you would go ahead and enter them here. Diagnosis pointer refers back to this area, and all we have to do here is, if for example this service that's being billed here has to do with diagnoses A and B, we would just enter A and B. If for some reason it only had to do with this first diagnosis, you would just enter A. Charges is what's being billed for the service. Units is the number of units. As you can see, we can click, and we're also tabbing along here. Now here's where you'd enter the provider NPI. Now you notice the provider information goes here and several fields in the bottom here. Now this here is a rendering provider lookup. This brings up another window. We're going to enter the NPI for our provider. If the provider works with multiple billing locations, you'll see those here, but in this case it's one. Click right there, it closes the window, and it auto-populates most of these fields. You'll see here the rendering provider ID has been provided here, tax ID number, physician signature, so basically the provider's name comes up here, and the billing provider location. There's some fields which you can complete afterwards, and the number 32, the service location, would always need to be completed there. Now if we have a second service, we can go ahead and enter it here. Since it's the from and to date are the same, we can leave that blank. If a different rendering provider did this service, you would need to enter that NPI number here. If it is the same one as above, you could leave this blank. Now let's say we're only billing those 2 days of service. We can jump over from box 24 to box 25. Federal tax ID number is already there. Patient account is an internal number, you don't have to put anything there. Now total paid is how much copay the patient has paid in relation to the services that are being billed. If the patient does not have a copay, you can type in 0 or leave that blank. Now over here in service facility location, we're going to say the service occurred right at the same office. And we'll be entering that. This field is not strictly required, but we'll go ahead and enter something. And that's basically it. You'll notice a couple of the identifiers that the claim form gives right away is the CL number, which you can use later on to bring up the claim form, but there's something else that we can do. Once a claim is created and you're satisfied that it can be sent in, all you would have to do is press the save button here. If anything is missing, as you'll see here, a pop-up will come up showing that. In this case, we're getting the insured's address is incomplete. Now, this, as I mentioned, was because this is a fake member, but we're going to go ahead and populate that. Let's press save again. We're getting the same notification with the patient's address. But as you can see, this has been completed here and matched with the insured's address. One second. Let's go ahead and populate that also. Okay, something that came up in our training is that I used the future date for this service. In which case, let's go ahead and fix that. As you can see, claim has been saved and automatically submitted to Concordia. Changes are allowed until the next business day at 8 a.m. So if for whatever reason you need to make any corrections, you are allowed to wait until up to 8 o'clock in the morning the next day to change it. But once you reach that time, the claim is automatically processed. Now, the last thing I'm going to show here is how to create a claim PDF. Basically, you can print out your claim form. As you see, it takes a few seconds for the PDF to generate. What will result is basically a PDF form, exactly like a CMS 1500. You do not need to send this in, but you can keep it for your records. Just going to wait a moment there. As you can see, do you want to open or save the form? Let's go ahead and save it in this case, and then open it. And here is the form. You can save this for your records, or you can print it out and keep it for your records, but again, this is just for you. And that is how you submit a claim. If you need to do another one for a different patient, you would just close this window, bring up and search for a new member, and run through the process again. I hope this video has been helpful. And thank you very much for your participation in the Concordia Provider Health Network. And please remember, if you have any questions regarding this process or anything else, to contact us directly. Goodbye.